Welcome everybody back to Orange Chat. Today is another theme stream. July is horror theme. I am going to be giving you guys different genres of horror, not just specific horror movies. We're going to be discussing different movie aspects of specific horror movies, however, in this genre. Sorry, I got some stuff in my eyes. And today we are going over aliens, movies with or horror movies with aliens in them, the horror aspect, thriller, and what draws these movie or people to these movies, and the different aspects therein. I have a number of movies, 9 movies in particular, in which to talk about specifically, and how I also responded to these films. So with that out of the way, before we get into it, thank you to everybody who showed up to last night's Monday Night Rants. That was the first episode. It's always a little bit more unrefined. As I go on, I will be refining it. Next week, we'll have 4 people on only, and we'll do a rotating panel so that people can come on, rant about what they want to rant about. They can give their thoughts, and we can discuss different topics and such. And it will be a lot better than the first episode. The first episode is always the roughest episode, always the most awkward. But we will always be improving it along the way. Also, before I get started, I want to say, if you like my channel, want to support my channel, sub to my channel. Share my videos, share my channel, go to my channel, hit copy on the address bar. Share it out to your friends. Let them know, hey, if you want to hear about movie breakdowns and Hollywood news and opinions on that stuff, this is the person to follow. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subs. I have yet to crack 1550. YouTube keeps on wiping out subscribers until just before I hit it. So if you guys can help me get over 1550, that'll give them a little bit time to back off so I can finally grow a little bit more. And we got 6 more months to get there, folks. So let's do it. If we can get the 2025 subs specifically before the year 2025, I'll figure out something to do special for everybody. And tonight is also the Bar Room Podcast on Society Reviews channel. We will be discussing all sorts of Hollywood shenanigans and also other topics. And Wednesday, I don't have anything planned. Most likely, I'm going to be posting on X my thoughts on The Acolyte and such. Friday is going to be Orange Hat Uncensored, where I give more political-based opinions. It's on Janet from Another Planet's channel, as well as my own. I mirror it from there. Sunday is going to be the weekly recap with me and Nerd with a Cigar, Kate. We are going to be discussing The Acolyte in further detail, as well as any other news that might be important to report on. But in other stuff that we will be talking about, let me say hello to the chat. We got Axel5 here. Good to see you. Nobody can hear you scream in space. Yep, that is going to be one of the movies that is of particular discussion. And good to see everybody in the chat. Yep. Alrighty, we got 4 people watching. 2 or 3 over on X and 1 over here on YouTube. Thank you to everybody who is paying or who is watching right now. Y'all are freaking awesome. I don't do it for the money, folks. I do it to inform, to give thoughts, maybe make you think a little. Hey, if my content has made you think about anything in a different way or anything like that, I've done my job. My job is to be informative, be entertaining to a degree, but informative is basically the goal of my channel. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. So horror with aliens in them. What movies come to mind? Well, you would probably think Alien, right? You would probably think this one. And another good horror would be The Faculty. More recently, you would also probably think Life and A Quiet Place. I mean, all of these are great movies, as well as Extraterrestrial Horror. While we're talking Alien, we can also talk Predator. But there's other movies that most people don't realize. Extraterrestrial means not from Earth. It was, or Pennywise, force that is of fear, came from outer space, from a totally other universe. And it was revealed later on that Gremlins are also from another universe. And everybody's favorite Critters is also from another universe. And when some people did a not Superman movie, they came out with Brightburn. He comes from a different planet. Now, all of these movies are horror movies. They have horror in their genre label. And one of the things that a lot of or all these movies have different aspects to them. You have more direct horror like Brightburn, where you know that he's the one committing these atrocities. You also see the critter, or you don't see the critters at first, but you then see the reveal of them later. You have psychological horrors like Alien, where you don't see it, or you see a little bit of it here and there. And then when this thing is finally shown full bore, it's like, oh shit, this thing is actually kind of scary. And all of these movies play to the deepest and darkest sides of our minds. They tend to invoke that fear response, to challenge your belief structure, to make you think when you're in the dark, what is that noise? Is something there? Is it human? Is it something other? What could it possibly be? When you see these movies as a kid, they'll scare you even more. Me, I'm desensitized to most horror nowadays. I have not seen a good horror movie. And when I say a good horror movie, I mean knock your socks off, scare the fuck out of you kind of horror. And while, yes, there are other horror movies of different types, nature, paranormal, and whatnot, we'll get to those as the month goes on the same day, same time here, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, each Tuesday. So, yeah, when it comes to movies like, or take Quiet Place, when I saw Quiet Place, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you can't talk around these things. You can't make noises around it, or you can't talk around these things. Okay, so let's see what they do. Well, it wasn't so much as simple as not being able to talk. You couldn't make any sort of noises. Clinking plates, like if you have dinner, clinking plates would draw these things towards you if there was one in the area. Using forks and other things would draw their attention. A freaking raccoon on a trash can. Well, these things were pissed off that this thing was doing that. They attack anything that makes noise. And it's an interesting premise because also in the movies, they try shooting a gas tank with one of these things close by. It crisps the fuck out of it. It doesn't kill it. The only way that you can kill these things are when their heads sprout outward and you see their ear. There's soft flesh underneath. I mean, the world tried nuking these bastards, I believe, at least once in this universe, and it didn't work out. And they also have a new Quiet Place movie coming out called Day One. So that's also a plus. Hey, Geek Archivist and Price is Right Review. Good to see you guys. Thank you for coming in. Top 3 favorite extraterrestrial horror films. My 3, The Thing, Alien, and tied between Predator or Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Good horror movies. Speaking of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, they kind of did that with The Faculty, which is this movie. I saw this movie shortly, or the summer or the time after it came out of theaters, I watched it on DirecTV or pay-per-view or which was a pay-per-view at the time. And I thought it was okay. I mean, I was younger. I don't have the same understanding as I do now, but essentially it was also kind of a nice little comedy bits here and there. I mean, I love how Josh Hartnett is selling freaking tapes of Nev Campbell and Jennifer Love Hewitt's nudes to these two kids. There's a teacher that's actually secretly jonesing for him, played by Famke Janssen. And when you see her normal version and then her alien infected version, she is entirely dual personalities. That's the great thing about extraterrestrial body snatcher elements when it comes to things like body snatchers. They don't act the same way. The best way you could tell if a person's is infected is if they do not act right. If there is something different, if there's something slightly off about them, you could tell, maybe something has changed. And that is such a wonderful tell. Psychologically speaking, it is the best way to hint to the obvious or to the audience, what's going on here? And then you hit them with the whatever jump scare or whatever thing that you want to do to leave or let the audience jump in their seats. And what other stuff we got? Independence Day still stands in my view as the best alien invasion film ever. War of the Worlds is the original is a close second. Nice. For me, Predator first, Quiet Place, and Alien in that order. Nice. So also moving or to give Predator, because a lot of people are bringing up Predator and whatnot. Predator is good because Predator lets you see the action first, get to know these characters, and really enjoy these characters' times. Now, the horror aspect comes in it is the thermal imaging. It's also the weird noises that don't seem to belong in the jungle, like that sound that the predator makes, the clicking sound. And it's also the way that they're reacting, that they're looking, how they're finding skinned bodies in the jungle, thinking gorillas didn't do this, man. Gorillas, not as in the animals, but gorillas as in guerrilla warfare, GUE, gorillas, not GOR. What I like about stories is that it makes the audience have a look beyond the surface of understanding and the nuance of human behavior. The Thing and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah. Fun fact regarding the sound of the Predator. It was made by Optimus Prime himself. Yep. Peter Cullen. Yep. And he got paid a hefty sum for that too. He came in, they're like, give us some noises. Give me a reference. He's like, give me a reference to what kind of noises I should be making here. I mean, I heard him talk about it. It was kind of nice. But getting back to it. Oh, wait, let's see here. Rules for Rants. Oh, right. Yep, that's different. But yeah, getting back to other movies, take Life, for example. Everybody knows about the movie Alien, and it's like you're trying to survive an alien on board your ship that's like a parasite. Well, this one is like a parasite, except this one is extremely intelligent, even from a small bit about that size. And this one was found on Mars. Well, when you find something on Mars and you see that it has intelligence, well, the dumb fucking mistake that there's always a dumb fuck mistake in these kind of movies. The dumb fuck mistake in Alien, going down to an alien planet, following a signal that you couldn't decipher, and then playing around with some parasitical looking eggs when, well, then the rest is history. We all know there. On life, well, they found life on Mars. They decided to poke and prod at a living organism. When you're poking and shocking something with electric shocks, it's going to kind of get pissed off at you. That's the fuck up in this movie. And this thing then starts growing. And then they're like, okay, it's got to hold my hand. And it just crushed my hand. Oh my God, this thing is now violent. And they try to kill it with fire. It doesn't work. In fact, it goes inside it goes inside of Ryan Reynolds and kills him by sucking him dry. And then they try flushing it out into space. Doesn't work. This thing is very kind of like an octopus. It can move through things very easily. And one of the characters, the one who was poking and prodding at it first, is dumb enough to let it kill him, to feed off of him, and think that, oh my God, are you seriously that stupid, man? I mean, there's dumb choices that always happen in horror films, folks. People make all the wrong choices in horror films. That's just a generalized rule. However, there are some people who are trying to outsmart the horror, and they do a good job with it. Like at the end of this movie has a great twist to its ending, where you think that Gyllenhaal's character, spoilers if you haven't seen this movie, he's going to get out and he's going to take this creature out into space so they never have to deal with, or so Earth doesn't have a problem with it. And Kelvin is the name of the creature. They named it Kelvin. And well, the survivor, or the surviving other astronaut, is going to be despaced to also warn them not to go searching for that pod. Except that when you see the ending result of what happens, when these two, or when you see the pod that lands on Earth, and these two guys over in some place overseas in a more Asian-centric area, they're trying to get into the pod to help this guy out because they see that he's been wrapped up in all this different goo, kind of like an alien or xenomorph goo and whatnot. And it's like, oh, shit. One of them got put off course. The other one and the whole situation got reversed. So it has a dark ending. When it comes to movies or horror movies, or even Terminator movies, Terminator technically is a horror movie, but it's not it's not an extraterrestrial horror movie, so we won't talk about it. But Terminator 3 from that franchise has a dark ending. The world ends, essentially. And I like dark endings because it makes you wonder. It doesn't give you that, oh, everything's going to be okay. In this movie, Life, it's going to tell you everything's not going to be okay because this thing feeds on water and fluids. And it just landed in an ocean. Fuck. You know? So then, no, stock footage was the scene where the crowd reacting to Spider-Man catching Gwen Stacy from Spider-Man 3's B-roll. Okay, there's something that I'm missing here. Life takes place in the aspects of the thing dialed up to 11. Possibly, or yes, but it doesn't have the mimicry. It doesn't have the mimicry that thing does, or the thing does. Fun fact, there was a fan theory where Life is a prequel to Spider-Man 3, an origin story of the symbiote. Due to the announcement of Venom film shortly after the trailer used stock footage from Spider-Man 3. Interesting. If you haven't yet, you should either review or watch the stream for Battle Los Angeles. Very awesome military. Price is Right. I believe I've done 2 streams based on or doing a review for Battle Los Angeles. Yeah, I've done a couple streams based on Battle Los Angeles. And let me tell you, great movies. It's not of a horror element, I don't think. It was mostly it was actually more action and suspense. So it doesn't fall into horror, I don't think. But if it does, it's also a good addition. Now, another cool aspect about alien movies, take It. It was basically based on the stoking of fear. It took people's fears and dialed them up, not just to 11, but to 1,000. It, and even the newer ones, essentially, as bad as some people say those movies are, I gotta say, It Chapter 2 broke all the rules in the best ways. Because when you have Pennywise snacking on kids, yeah. Now, I'm glad that the movies don't go into the pedophilic route that Stephen King did in his book, because you got to be a seriously twisted mind fuck, or your mind has to be seriously fucked in the head to write a child orgy in a sewer, because that is something that a lot of people don't attribute to It, because they mostly go off the movies. If you read the book, the kids at 11 years old are having sex in a sewer with their girl or with their female friend Beverly. They find it as a true power of friendship ritual, and it's absolutely disgusting if you think about it. Because that sort of stuff doesn't belong in that or in any sort of thing. I mean, really, I don't like any sort of pedophilic behavior in any sort of entertainment at all. For me, Pennywise falls more of a Ghost Rider like horror figure, considering its very nature has no physical or corporeal form. That is very interesting as well. And yeah, it's okay. I don't think anybody has seen all my reviews on my channel. You got a couple thousand videos to watch if you have, and you've watched a couple thousand videos if you have. And if you ask me, you should be going outside a few days or every few. Joking, folks. But yeah, when it comes to Pennywise and invoking fear, how he looks at you, he's kind of like a living or a very dangerous version of a boggart from Harry Potter with J.K. Rowling, where this boggart can kill you. It'll see into your fear and it will manipulate it to the point where you either have to face it or you're going to succumb to it. Dealing with those kind of visceral aspects in a horror movie are extremely poignant, because it challenges a person to choose what are you going to do in this sort of situation. If you are faced with your worst fear, are you going to run or are you going to succumb to your fear? It is the two basic truths of fear: the fight or flight. You can either face it and fight it, or flight, which means flee away from it in terror. Me, when it comes to spiders and stuff, I do have a small fear of spiders. I choose to learn about my fears, the things that scare me. And I choose to Jesus Christ, man. I choose to basically hold on one second, folks. Okay, I'm back, folks. Sorry for that. Very inconsiderate stuff going on. But anyway, yes, back to the fear aspect and such. Pennywise, I believe I could actually handle Pennywise. If Pennywise came a calling, I'd be the first one to basically be back off, Bob. I can tell, or I know exactly what you are, and you're not scary. Because you're pushing against somebody who has a fear of spiders, but does or has enough knowledge to fight that fear. Cloverfield doesn't count as an alien film, or does Cloverfield count as an alien film? Because there are a ton of yes, there are a ton of theories that Clover is an alien and that has crashed to Earth in an Earth kaiju monster. I would guess that Clover would be an alien. However, I'm not sure. That's why I didn't include it. To be completely honest, it's like it's possible that Clover is in fact part of Earth, but it's also possible that it's extraterrestrial. There are two, or the only person who can really answer that is Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams. But getting back to other aspects of horror inside of extraterrestrials, Gremlins, the cute and the mischievous aspects of horror, where you have something that is so cute and yet can become so destructive. It is the literal be careful about certain things in life. It is what, or if you don't pay attention to wisdom, bad things tend to happen in the worst ways. And if you are given responsibility over something, you got to listen to the rules. You can't just think, oh, I don't have to worry about it. I would never do or break these rules, except that when you think about it, that kind of hubris can get you killed, especially in Gremlins. A lot of people say, oh, Gremlins is more comedy and whatnot, Gremlins 2 and comedy and this and that. It's like, yeah, except that these things are killing people. These things went after a woman, sparked her her stair chair, her electronic stair chair, and launched it out a window, killing her. These things killed a lot of people in or crashed a cop car, slicing its brake line. A lot of people don't realize that, or that the teacher was given an embolism through one of the needles in his ass. I mean, these things kill in creative ways. And it's not something you really want to mess with. Also, I do kind of think that it is semi-ironic that in Gremlins 2, when you have Christopher Lee getting electrocuted to death, and yet he can use force lightning in Star Wars. I thought that was pretty interesting. But yes, when it comes to Gremlins, that is a movie that teaches a lesson of hubris and arrogance. And when you are told to do something, when handling something of importance, you do it. You don't screw around with it. We have a Superman scenario with this movie. It's like, what if Superman was not a good person growing up? Brightburn challenged the what if scenario. I really wish there was more to the Brightburn universe. What if Aquaman wasn't such a nice person? What if Cyborg wasn't such a nice person? What if the Flash wasn't such a nice person? And there was no superhero to counter them. It does make one wonder, you know? Comments. Does the 1988 film They Live count as horror film? I would call that more a thriller. An action and thriller. Because, I mean, yes, there's horror aspects to it. However, there's more of a thriller aspect to it. Side note, the symbol for Brightburn was actually taken from the manga and anime called Berserk. Premise sounded okay from what I hear. Oh, believe me, folks, when it comes to Brightburn, films like Brightburn, holy crap, when I saw that movie, I'm like, this is some twisted shit. And you're dealing with a prepubescent alien who's just getting into the that tender age, shall we say. And they think that the kid's going through puberty, except that puberty for this specific species of alien that looks like humans tends to become more aggressive and whatnot. And so, yeah, Brightburn takes the Superman ethos of heroism and completely flips it over. This kid is learning his powers and completely abusing them, where he kills the one woman, hollows her out, and puts her on display. It's like, holy shit, you know? It's absolutely like, what the fuck kind of moment. And then you have what he does to his mother, his father, other people, crushes that girl's hand, and then tells her, everybody's going to know who I am when I'm done with this, and then I am coming back for you. Well, every king's going to have to, or going to want a king or a queen, right? And then there's that one moment in which the mother understands him, but also understands that something, or it's his one weakness. He got, or nothing else would cut him except for the part from the ship that did cut him. And it's like, oh shit, you know? So she's going to try to use the ship to kill him. Doesn't work exactly because he knows that, or she completely telegraphed it. And so the darkness of a Superman character who is young, feels abused, and is completely sociopathic and psychotic at the same time, flies his mother up and then just drops her. And she actually still loves the kid, which is twisted. I mean, when it comes to movies like Brightburn, and it shows that this kid is curious in the destruction that, or in the destruction that he creates when he um starts messing with the guy or his parents' friend, and his parent or his friend is, he's drunk, he's really drunk, and when he sees him floating, he's like, nope, 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 not dealing with that, nope. Well, then he unfortunately has the worst ending, because I'm sorry, but uh when a steering wheel unhinges your jaw, that was, whew, folks, that was hard to watch. Let's just say that was hard to watch. I mean, I could take that movie Cabin in the Woods where she gets axed in her, in that. I could take um I could take the Underworld movie where Marcus decapitates Craven, well, half of his head. But man, this one, it was just hard to watch because the actor is such a great, nice actor, and he's such a nice guy and whatnot. But then you see that happen, it's like, oh fuck, you know. But Brightburn really does test It's like, what if a person was born with the greatest superhero's powers, and what if you had to deal with that in your hometown? It's a scary thought because there's no limit to what the kid can do. And nobody knows any sort of weakness that this kid has except his mother, who's now dead. And this kid is munching on cookies after he is the sole survivor of a plane crashing into his house. Yeah, plane. I mean, it's funny because when he's up in the sky after he drops his mom, he looks over at a plane coming his way, and it's like, okay, those people on that plane are dead. Yeah. And he's just eating cookies. It's insane, folks. I mean, the way that his father tried putting him down, tried putting a bullet in his head. And then, well, he's like, okay, you just betrayed me, so you're going to die. And he kills his father in a very brutal way. It's insane. And if you want to see that way, you just watch the movie. Other aspects of horror, like, no, I'm on banners, not banners. I want brands. Critters What if something, an infestation, kind of like Gremlins, but more voracious, not mischievous, but voracious. These things love to eat, came to town. And yes, they are also vicious little fuckers. They're also mischievous little shits. But it's like a nice rural town doesn't expect this sort of stuff to happen. And yet these things start to happen. It's like, take my town, or what would happen if these things came to my town? Well, we're a little bit more armed to the teeth here. So we could handle these guys if they tried. But there's also the aspect of, what is your reaction when these things first start happening? You know, it's an interesting, or I love that. It's like, what the hell was that? It's like, oh my God, get out of my house. It's great stuff. Now, Critters is one of my favorite old horror movies because I love Critters 2. Then I like Critters 3 and 4, but just not as much as Critters 1 and 2. And what other movies are there? I mean, when it comes to different alien movies, horror movies, folks, with extraterrestrials, they challenge you in so many different ways that they challenge the what if scenarios. They're the biggest what if scenarios because aliens haven't come down and invaded us yet. I mean, yes, you have all those UFO stories, you have all those abduction stories, X-File wise and whatnot. But you never really get, or these movies are done in a way to maybe warn us, but also give us pause to think, what would we do when faced to confront an extraterrestrial force? I mean, yes, these movies are visceral. Alien in space, nobody can hear you scream. When you are forced to deal with something and then you realize that the company you're working for wants it alive and the crew is expendable, when everything is turned against you, what do? Well, if you're anything like Ellen Ripley, you fight back. That's the wonderful thing about these movies. Horror movies and the alien aspects and the extraterrestrial aspects of horror, they're really great movies because you have a lot more creativity with them. Now, yes, you have the Critters turned into a franchise. You have Aliens and Gremlins turning into a franchise, and the Predator franchise, and now the Quiet Place aspects. That movie, Quiet Place 1, and returning to Quiet Place here, they gave an impossible situation here. And I love how they dealt with it. Many things was happening when Emily Blunt had to give birth in her bathtub. And she couldn't exactly stay quiet when you're giving birth. So it's like, oh shit. What best way to keep monsters away from you in order to be able to give birth safely? How does one live in a world where these nigh impossible or near impossible to kill creatures roam your planet, where you have to live in silence essentially for the rest of your life, unless you can go to a place like a waterfall and be able to talk and such? It is such, I mean, Krasinski's mind, man. John Krasinski, man. Great stuff. These movies do so much to challenge the audience. Take care, buddy. Thank you for stepping in, man. I got to get going myself soon, so I am going to wrap this up. But yeah, when it comes to these movies, I love how they challenge you. They are to challenge a person, and they are to essentially make you think, what if? How would you deal with something so out there. And they experience, or when you see it happening to multiple people, humans are a dumb species. The person is smart, people are dumb. Kind of like another extraterrestrial movie said by the name of MIB, Men in Black. The person is smart, people are dumb, dangerous animals, and you know this. And yeah, people panic too much. It's a hive mind effect, and it's dangerous. It's a hive mind without a queen, so to speak. But yeah, that's why I like horror to the extent. Now, next week's horror, folks, because I am going to start wrapping this up here. Next week's horror is horror movies of nature, like Jaws and Peter Benchley's Creature and other things such or that. I mean, Peter Benchley does great nature movies or nature horror and psychological horror as well. So that will be next week, folks. And I am going to wrap it up here. Thank you to everybody who was watching. Axel, Neozoic, Price is Right, Pierce, and anybody else who chimed in. Thank you all for showing up. Y'all are freaking awesome. Stay tuned for tonight. Barroom Podcast on Society Reviews channel. Just go to Society Reviews, chime in the channel, and the link should be up. But yep, I'll be back around 9 p.m. tonight on that channel, and we can all talk there and stuff. Y'all have a wonderful day. And always remember, folks, to stay humble.